Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Taking a look here at Ethereum, double checking a few things. I got a lot of requests for this one recently. I totally understand why. It does look like it's pumping here. So what I'll do is draw some new fibs, kind of update our playout chart, post that on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, of course, as per usual. And we'll dive into some liquidation data, kind of see what's going on. In the meantime, I do ask you just go ahead and quickly hit the like button, comment below. Takes you no effort. Very little effort rather, and appreciate you doing that nonetheless. Thanks to everyone who always does that, because we want to try to get this in front of more people instead of the Moon Boys always, getting the clicks because they have some dumb looking face on their profile. Don't get me wrong, I have sunglasses on my on my thumbnails, but that's just kind of organic, natural pictures. Like that's literally what I do in my spare time. I'm not wearing sunglasses or listening to techno music when I do my analysis. I take this very, very serious, and I'm also fairly professional when it comes to analyzing the charts. In other words, I treat it like a business, and I get those kind of results because I respect the market. So take a look here. ETH, we can see a lot of late shorts here at about the 2650 to 2700 mark. If I recall correctly, that might be a macro area that we want to kind of focus on. We'll look at some larger time frames here to identify, but simply put, we got some late shorts there, which is very standard. Bitcoin's pulling back a little bit. ETH might as well, but there's a lot of volume flowing in. You do not generally want to short into high volume. Okay, that's just a bad call. We take a look here on the right-hand side. This is the last 30 days of liquidation. We can see here 2730 and 2900 are the two heavy concentrations. There's like 20 to 30 billion at 2900 alone. And then right here about 2730, we got good 20 plus billion right at that mark. So I'll go ahead and post this on our playout chart, of course, so you can see it a little more specifically and clearer, but the general consensus here is there's a lot more liquidation on the upside, implying that the macro shorts are probably going to get hit pretty hard here soon. Why they haven't secured profits or adjusted their stop loss or are using high leverage still is beyond me. Again, this is just standard trading 101. That's why market makers make so much money, because they know right where you're at and right where you're getting super greedy. So try not to be greedy in this market. We take a look here. Delta is very, very high. Bitcoin's exuding the same behavior. It's starting to taper off a little bit, but until that starts to pull back, we should experience the price action either going sideways or possibly down, at least within reason. And what I mean by that is just simply put, there's a lot of longs that entered the market in the last 24 hours, and some of those might get destroyed by being a late long. Again, more so just in the sense of high leverage. If you're using high leverage, you're going to get wicked out. If you're using low leverage, you're probably fine. Let's take a look here. We can see the most amount of open interest at 2556. So 2560 is a round number, is that next area of support. Okay, so the most amount of positions occurred right there in the last 7 days worth of trading. Okay, so that's a lot of open interest at that point. With it all being in that one little area, that leads me to believe that there's some whales that went long right there and just destroyed a lot of shorts. It's pretty standard there. So 2650 if we round down a little bit. 2650 is that, no, I'm sorry, am I misspeaking? 2550, apologize. 2550 is that area. It's like right here, okay? So that's the area of open interest. What do you know? Right there at the bottom half of that fair value gap. So the price does end up pulling back. I think 2550 would be a solid consideration for a long. I'm in fact going to go ahead and set an alert in that range, just kind of get notified later if that ends up happening. All right, so let's take a look at the weekly. Work our way down, see what the macro tells us here. While we got kind of some lower, smaller time frame fib levels pulled up, we can see there's obviously a lot of upside here. Potential, rather. I'm not saying it's going to happen specifically, but it is a possibility. We are below, however, some major moving averages. If we take a look here, we can see 50 in the 20-day SMA, above the price action. We are over the 200, of course, which is nice. It's actually been a nice little average position there, or 2300 holding like a champ. So anyone long in that area, congratulations for that. How much higher is the price going to go? That's the question I get a lot. And again, based on liquidation, which is not the only indicator, 2900 makes sense. 2730, 2740 is the next immediate target. And to give you perspective, that is right here, just above the most recent high. And then 2900 is up here at that 1.414 fib level. Okay, so those are two areas of interest, I would say. Good solid areas to consider securing profits if you're going to take a long. Question is, how far down does the price pull back if it does before the price continues higher up for ETH? Let's go ahead and see if we can find that out. Quickly to note though, before we move on, MACD is trying to converge here on the daily, or weekly rather. We're seeing this happen on Bitcoin too. So you're actually here. Here's a better chart there. This is Bitcoin right here. Is it really? Never mind, forget it. We're going to do that later. Anyways, take my word for it. Bitcoin has a similar macro structure here. The difference is Bitcoin's over 50 on the RSI where ETH isn't yet. So you got to recognize ETH hasn't broken free from its resistance range, but there is a ton of value here from the previous dump back on the 29th of July. So there's a lot of fair value there. All right, so take a look at the daily time frame. We want to just double check, and this is the same across the board. Most coins are converging on the MACD, stochastic swinging up, RSI over 50, money flow index trailing behind. That's all standard stuff. We want to see the MFI above the price action, but this is okay still, even at this point. The reason why it isn't is just because we still are including some larger candles in the last 14 days. Money flow index is kind of weird on Mondays, by the way. It can kind of give you some flawed perspectives or results, if you will, just based on the simple fact that it's a 14-day lag, and generally Mondays we're going to see a lot of volume in either direction. Having said all that, mostly bullish here. We're above majority of the moving averages that are important. Being above the 20 and the 50 to me is extremely important there. So the price pulls back 2,500 might be a good consideration for entry as well as a round number, just above the previous high. Once more though, I'm a little more interested in an area of about 2,550, just being that open interest as well as just kind of a pretty nice little area of consideration being just below that liquidation level. So let's take a look here on the 4-hour time frame. Recognize here, once again, there's that fair value gap down as low as 2,550. It's potential reality of the price pulling back to fill that gap. We have the 0.618 fib level though, however, in the proximity. So we may not see this fair value gap get filled at all. I think 2,570, 2,580 would be a solid, also like a secondary consideration for long. Keep in mind the price may not pull back that level, right? So I mean, it's like what, only a 2% variance there to the bottom of the pullback there at that fair value gap, that 2,550 mark is about 3%. It's not a big difference there, again, if you're using low leverage. So I wouldn't trust doing a high leverage long or short at this point. I never really trust that, honestly. Anyways, you shouldn't be doing that. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you'll know it's a bad recommendation. Professional traders don't use that high leverage. Some will get lucky with it if they're in and out of the market day trading. That's a different story. But from a swing trader's perspective, you never swing trade with more than 10x leverage or 5x for altcoins. This gives you perspective here really quick. We took a long for Solana on Saturday, 27%. That is a 5x leverage trade. Near Protocol, 33%. That is a 5x leverage trade. We also took a short from Bitcoin late last week, 20%. That is a 10x leverage trade. So that you got to have a specific way in which you trade. You get used to it, get used to winning and losing with that amount, and you'll always be much better off. If you are adjusting the amount of how much you trade with or the amount of leverage at any given trade, you're absolutely doing it wrong. That's like Trader 101 right there, is to use the same amount and to learn how to adjust to your own risk tolerance. Don't use other people's. Because again, my risk tolerance is going to be way different than yours. I'm okay with losing X or gaining Y versus you, and it's just a different story altogether. Sorry, tangent there. Hourly time frame, quickly to note, there is 0 reasons to consider a long position. Sorry, I misspoke. 0 reasons to consider a short. There is a lot of fair value here, of course, as we're seeing across the market. I think this first one makes the most sense to come down to like that 2570, 2580 mark. But I think it's a little aggressive to expect 2400 now at this point for ETH. I think the lowest point which we'll see would be like the 2520. That's the local low here, or basically where the price consolidated before it broke out of its little pattern there. That is essentially an area in which we could see, but probably not. If Bitcoin runs to 64.5, different story altogether. But I think at this point, Bitcoin can maintain its range. ETH looks like it's poised to do better than Bitcoin and continue further higher. So I'll update our playout charts on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're not familiar. It looks a little something like this. Make sure you check that out, where I just kind of give you different scenarios on coins that I'm planning to take trades with. And then, of course, obviously, if you're part of our community, make sure you reference our trade alerts section. I provide you with kind of like insight on coins I'm planning to take trades with. And then, obviously, we have our trade signals too, different story altogether. That's all part of our premium or plus group. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. This is probably the more important one. Bitunix, our exclusive deposit bonus, is available this month here. Okay, they do this every 2 or 3 months, but you may as well take advantage. If you're part of our community, just go ahead and utilize that extra money to trade with. It's a lot of fun. But these guys are awesome. No KYC or VPN. Highly recommend them. So check them out. Thanks again for your time. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.